Hello everyone, Farah Hanoun here, and I'm joined by Blaydes, who headlines UFC Beijing on November 24th when he takes on Francis Ngannou. Curtis, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you, man?
I'm doing good, thank you. It's the rematch. We don't often see non-title rematches, and I know you've always wanted this one back, but did you ever think it was going to happen?
Yeah, actually, I knew it was inevitable. I knew he'd be around because it was early on in his career. I knew I'd be around because it was my debut fight. So
Yep.
I knew as long as we both were winning fights, we'd never be running into each other again.
Absolutely, and you've bounced back from that loss as impressively as anyone could, racking up 6 wins in a row. I'll say 6 because that no contest is rubbish in my opinion, taking a win away.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. But anyway, here we are again. This time you're in the red corner and you're the favorite.
Well, yeah, I mean, it feels good that the UFC is behind me there. It feels like they're pushing me a little more. Like they want me to win this so they can eventually give me a title shot.
Yep, and you've grown so much since the first fight. He's gone on to fight for the title, and now he's on back-to-back losses. What were your thoughts on his last 2 fights, the title fight, then the loss to Derek Lewis?
The title fight went down like I thought it would. He's not a very good wrestler. Doesn't have very good conditioning, and those were 2 things that led to his downfall. He got tired, and the more tired you get, the more you have to rely on your technique as opposed to power. That's not really his thing. And then the last fight with Derek Lewis, I think he was just too hesitant. He was too worried about gassing out. I think he went the opposite. Instead of expending too much energy, he didn't spend any energy. He didn't. I think he threw like less than a dozen strikes the whole fight. So I know that's not the real Ngannou. That's not the Ngannou I'm expecting in Beijing. I'm expecting him to be aggressive and confident in his striking.
And you took that right out of my mouth, that question. I was going to ask you, is it hard to analyze which Ngannou you're going to get? Because do you think that these 2 losses are going to give a different version? Because I spoke to him quite recently, actually, and he went back to Paris, kind of where it all began for him, and he's telling me, obviously, that he's more determined than ever. But to you, is it hard to not take into account his last 2 losses and the way he's performed, or are you just kind of expecting the best Ngannou?
It doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter to me. If he wants to be aggressive, I'll take him down. If he wants to sit back and counter strike, I'll take him down. Regardless, he ends up on his back.
And your first fight with him was 2.5 years ago. Obviously, you've improved drastically. Something that was interesting to me when I spoke to him, he was telling me that when he fought you the first time, he was actually surprised with how good your wrestling was. I mean, you started out your pro MMA career 5-0, 5 TKOs, but you're a state wrestling champion with an extensive wrestling background, which you've been able to use so effectively, especially in your last couple of performances.
I mean, I think I'm the best wrestler in the division, and that includes DC, Cain Velasquez. I put it together the best. When you talk about wrestling in a cage, it's not this same as wrestling on a mat. It's really just about timing and precision. I think I've got the best timing and the most precise takedowns in the division.
And you've been in there with him before. What do you make of his grappling ability?
His grappling is very bad. I'll leave it at that. It's not very good.
All right, and we've seen how important wrestling is as a base for a fighter. I mean, Daniel Cormier is a perfect example. He legitimately took this fight with Derek Lewis on short notice because he knew that Derek Lewis wouldn't be able to handle his grappling and his pace.
Yeah, I mean, that fight went exactly how I thought it would. I thought it might have ended a little faster, but all the takedowns, how easy they were, and how easy Derek Lewis gave up his back, that's exactly what I envisioned in that fight.
And tell me a little bit about your training camp. I know you've been training with Alistair Overeem, which was your last opponent, which is awesome. I love seeing that kind of respect in the sport. How great is it to spar against someone who's so skilled and technical with his striking like Alistair?
I mean, it definitely helps just having someone that good that pushes you. Doesn't allow you to get away with being lazy, being sloppy, because it make you pay for it. So it's definitely overall just like with anything, when you get pushed in practice, it makes you all the much better when you actually go live and compete, regardless of the sport, basketball, football, MMA. When you have really good training partners, it makes your performances better.
Definitely, and this fight is in Beijing. You went out there for a media a short while back, correct? And I know Francis couldn't make it out there due to visa issues, but what was your whole experience like in China? Did you like the fact that you got the opportunity to see what it's like and to interact with the fans and all that?
I mean, yeah, it's always cool to visit another part of the world, especially a part of the world that I probably, had it not been a part of my job, I probably would have ever had an interest in going to China. But after going there and like seeing how they live, how like the culture, it was an experience that I'm happy I got to have.
Nice. And when do you plan on going? Will you head out there a little bit early?
Yeah, I'll head out there early. I've had experience with traveling and fighting. I fought in Australia early this year, so we'll pretty much do the same game plan we did for Australia.
I see. And who's going to be in your corner for this fight?
It'll be Vinny Lopez, my striking coach, Cody Donovan, my jiu-jitsu coach, one of my buddies, Nick Rourke, a former UFC light heavyweight, and my roommate, Tony Rodriguez, another teammate of mine. So it'll be those four.
Nice. And all right, Curtis, a couple more before I let you go. What did you think of Cormier's performance this past weekend against Lewis? You said it went as you expected, but were you impressed by his performance?
No, I wasn't impressed because it's not hard to take down Derek Lewis. So I wasn't impressed. It's hard to be complimentary of a matchup like that when it's so just heavily favored against the other guy. It was pretty much a blowout the moment they announced that fight. So I wasn't impressed.
And he's projected to fight Brock Lesnar next. Lesnar, of course, had some issues with USADA, and now it seems like he's back. What are your thoughts on him coming back and getting that title shot?
I've already gone on plenty of rants, so I'm no longer angry about it as much. I understand it. It's business. Brock Lesnar has a lot of followers, brings in the casual fan, which is more money for the UFC, which is what they're about. So it's pretty much status quo, bringing in a money fight.
And a win could very well make you next in line. But when you look at a fight like DC versus Brock, does it worry you? I mean, DC's talking about retiring after a fight or two. Brock, we don't know if he'd actually defend the belt if he wins. Where does that leave you if you get through Francis?
Oh, I no longer project. I stopped projecting after the last fight because I expected to get a title shot after beating Alistair. So I no longer care what the future holds. I'm only focused on winning and racking up paychecks. So if they give me a title shot, that'd be dope. But if they don't, if they give me Stipe or Derek Lewis or whomever, it's another paycheck, which I'm still happy with. So
I see. And in the press conference, when they were talking, the media were talking to Dana, somebody had asked him about if he's going to have his eye on this fight. And they mentioned you specifically. And he said definitely. So at least in that sense, I mean, it's good that this fight is viewed as that because honestly, that is, like, you've been on a hell of a streak fighting top-level guys. You get through Francis. It's kind of a 2-1 for you. It's kind of like a redemption fight. And at the same time, taking out our top-ranked guy. It's got to be you next. Are you planning on potentially saying something on the mic, doing that stuff, since that's what seems to work these days?
No, I've already asked for a title shot, so I don't do good with rejection. I've already been rejected once. I won't ask again. Like I said, if they give it to me, I'll be happy. But I'm not going to beg for it. I'm better than that.
All right, Curtis. One last thing. How do you see this fight with Francis playing out? How do you get the job done?
I see it playing out exactly, well, not exactly, but similar to my Alistair fights, similar to my Mark Hunt fight. Maybe I have to eat one heavy punch, but once I get my takedown, 1 leads to 2, 2 leads to 4, 4 leads to 8. And if he still has juice in the tank after 8 or 9 takedowns, then I'll probably finish him on the feet. But I doubt he'll have enough in the tank to keep going after that. So it'll probably end up being TKO to do the strikes on the ground.
Do you have a round?
Nah, because I don't know how well conditioned he is. It could be the first, it could be the third. I know I'm better conditioned because I'm here at 500 feet, and he's over there in Paris. So.
All right, Curtis, I really appreciate your time. Of course, you can catch Curtis Blaydes on November 24th at UFC Beijing when he rematches Francis Ngannou. Curtis, thank you so much for your time and best of luck.
Thank you. I appreciate it.